Women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and justice for all, including the Black women who are often, too often, overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy.
We live in the most prosperous country in the world. People are saying, life's not fair, I'm not doing well, my son's still living in the basement, I can't seem to get a job, I don't like the status quo, I'm voting for something else, and he was
I
the person.
love you to life,
I love you. Oh.
but I do not believe that. I cannot believe that.
You see, I'm always willing to go on a journey, whether it's the road, building my empire, or speaking my mind. It's all a part of the key of life.
Yep, that's me.
Hey, welcome back to my channel. This is Key of Life and I am Key. And today I wanted to go into a somewhat controversial topic. I haven't done commentary on this channel in a while, but now that we are in a post-election era, I wanted to give my opinion about something that I noticed when it comes to the reactions and behaviors of people who were not expecting the results that we got after the election. And I wanted to share my perspective of what I seen, some feedback, some of my own perspective when it comes to how Black women behaved after that. And then, you know, speaking on my own choice as being a part of the 7% of Black women that did not vote, apparently for my own interest, and why I made that decision. And, you know, yeah. So with all that being said, let's get right into the video. After the 48 hours of the election results came to be, right? I was one of those people. I was one of the recipient of the blocks, the unfollows, the cursed out, the hexed, that got a lashing from a lot of people, especially Black women, who were coming at me hard because I did not vote for what they say was my own interest. And I'm going to get a little bit into that a little later about why what she was selling was not in my interest, and what anything the Democrats had to say for the past 10 years have not been in my interest, and why I did not even bother to stay in that party for a very long time. But yeah, it was a lot of meltdown. It was a lot of sporadic behavior. It was a lot of things that I just felt like, why are we behaving this way? There was a critique about Black women, Black men who voted against the Democratic Party and who didn't vote for Kamala Harris, how we did not care about our own humanity. We voted against everyone else's humanity. And I just think that is further from the truth. And this narrative actually contributed to why Harris lost the election, because this is some of the key takeaways that I think the people who voted blue could actually learn from, instead of taking for granted that they know what voters are voting for, and specifically instead of just asking the question, why did you vote, instead of assuming that someone voted intentionally to hurt you, because that was never the reason. When people go into the booth, they vote for their own interests. They are not really thinking about other people. They come up with their own moralities and principles and values that they hold close and dear to themselves, and to expect that people are going into the booth to vote for another person's interest, I just think is actually ridiculous. The Black community is still heavily in support of the Democratic Party. And I don't know how, because this is the same party that literally fought in a civil war to keep you in chains and on their plantation. This is the same party that had a stank attitude about having to desegregate and share spaces with you. This is the same party that put you in the ghettos and redline neighborhoods to keep you far away from them. And you're saying that the people who are a part of the 7% that voted for Donald Trump or voted for another independent candidate, we're the coons. We're thinking outside of the box at this point, because we cannot entrust to keep giving our votes to people who do not put us in situations where we can achieve. And I feel like during Donald Trump's administration, there were a lot of positive things that were happening for myself and other Black individuals. And I'm only going to focus on Black people right now, so don't be offended, because this topic really is just about Black people at the moment, because I'm speaking to the people. I cannot remember where I seen this comment, but someone who was a recipient of one of Donald Trump's funds for Black students that attended HBCUs, they said that they asked one of the superintendents about, funding, and the superintendent admitted, like, Donald Trump was the first and only president that actually invested into these underpaid HBCUs, because most of the funds always go to the top HBCUs like Howard or Clark, or like the well-known colleges, and he actually invested in some of those that were like very underfunded to help continue the education of Black students. But he doesn't get credit for that, because that's never talked about. That's never talked about. I actually remember seeing that. I didn't know exactly what it was about, but I remember, the students in there cheering for him because they finally got some money so they can continue their education. So when we're talking about tangibles, people, we want tangibles. We want to get things from these politicians. You cannot keep giving them free votes and saying they're going to help us. They're going to help us. What have they helped us with? We keep voting based off of identity and, oh, they're like me and I could put them in a high place too, girl, because they AKA my AKA sister. Like, no one cares about none of that. If you can see, like, pay attention to what we are seeing across the nation with all of these Black mayors in these high places doing so many grimy things to the American citizens, these taxpayers. They're not getting what they're rightfully owed because they decided to vote based off of identity and not tangibles, and making sure this person is qualified to take on this position, and they're not just getting into position because, oh, she looked like me. Okay, because 9 times out of 10, these people who look like you are benefiting by themselves. They're benefiting for themselves, okay? People think that, oh, you want to have, and I feel like this is like an ego thing with some Black women as well, as like, don't ask us nothing, or if people are just, blaming this on sexism and racism. I'm like, Black women, stop. Every time you asked her a question, she would say the same thing, or it was an attack on Donald Trump, and no one cares. If you're running a campaign on getting to the people, you need to less worry about your opponent and more focus about what average everyday Americans are focusing on, because we don't care. We do not care about you hating Donald Trump. So let's go over some of these data points, because it is actually quite shocking. So let's go by race. So Black people as a majority voted 80% for the Democratic Party. That is actually absolutely large. Actually, we are the biggest group of individuals that voted for a party overwhelmingly. Sex by race, right? This is something that should be really telling. So we have here that 77% of Black men voted for the Democratic Party. And then we have Black women who voted 91% for the Democratic Party. Now, I can tell you 2 reasons why Black women voted like this. For one, they think Kamala Harris is Black. She's not a Black woman. I cannot express this more enough. Black women, you cannot take on the identity of a non-Black woman because she has melanin or her father is Jamaican, but he is not a Black man. And if you haven't watched Candace Owens' expose on her family's genealogy, and especially her father's family tree, she's not Black. She told you that because she knew that she could easily get y'all's vote. Because again, Black people in general, I'm just going to leave it at that, are some of the easiest demographics to get votes out of without having to do really much anything. Black women, you gave these people free votes. You're giving them no incentive to earn your vote. Just like how Kamala Harris was questioned at the NABJ, right? That black men were not really coming out to support her, and she said she had to earn their vote. Black women were not in question. Actually, she never created any opportunity agendas for black women because there was no need to. Black women had her undivided support and allegiance without even have to try. Actually, black women kicked her campaign off by raising almost $1.3 million. Actually, let me look that up because I just seen that again, and I'm like, there is no way you all raised this damn money for this lady that quick. Black women raised $1.5 million for Kamala Harris in 3 hours. Then it says right here that black men raised $1.3 million for Kamala Harris. Black people, you helped this woman raise $2.8 million off of you. And it went to Beyonce, it went to Oprah Winfrey, it went to Al Sharpton to pretend like he was marching for you on the front lines. Y'all funded the Call Her Daddy podcast. Y'all raised that much money. How much of that went to your community?
And don't get me started about the news that her campaign owes more than $20 million because they're in the hole right now after paying for all of those celebrity appearances and not really focusing on reaching certain demographics of voters. They were focusing on entertaining, and yet you all wanted this woman to run the country. We would have had another Tiffany Henyard on our hand.
Since we're here, how much of that went to our community? Because this is absolutely ridiculous how you can raise millions of dollars within 3 hours, but you're still asking for reparations. You raising your own reparations and giving it to the government again? It doesn't make sense. This is why I be on the fence, like, that's going to be another conversation, because now I'm wondering, do we even need reparations if we can't even manage money in a responsible way? Did y'all remember that news about the Fearless Fund being blocked and barred from doing any more grants specifically for black women to help their businesses because it was not inclusive of all women? And I'm like, that is a bunch of BS. I think black people need to now countersue for other communities that have their own type of grants. You just need to start playing the game that way, because I definitely still be seeing them like, how is that allowed? How is that allowed? I thought that was discrimination. Y'all better start countersuing. But yeah, I'm like, hold on. There are black businesses that need to be funded. There are black children that need to go to school. There are black communities that need to be rebuilt. And you raise that within 3 hours. Imagine what you could do with that money for your own community. I do not like the Democratic Party because they use this tactic to make us feel as if we need to constantly be dependent on them. And I think we still are on that wave of we need to constantly support the hand that feeds us as well. And I don't think the Democrats are feeding us. They feed us bullshit, but they're not feeding us anything that is helping us to be self-sufficient, because the majority of the black community does not want to be self-sufficient. They want someone to lean on. They want someone to advocate for them, while they actively don't advocate for you at all. These people take from us, and they sit up here and play on emotions. They use racism, they use sexism, they use Black death, and all types of things that make black people emotional. And you fall for it every election season, and you give these people free votes. They have to put in campaign dollars to reach you. Black women, black men actually asked for something, and they had to work to gain the vote. So black women, I'm not understanding how you're not doing the same thing.
And I was seeing a few videos of black women being upset and angry with black men for not voting accordingly. But if you looked at that chart once again, they voted second in place, like literally the only group of men on this chart that outweighed overwhelmingly voted the same way as their female counterparts. So yeah, that was a lie.
And you watch those videos like myself, like Chrissy, Paris Milan, Chloe underscore, and we understand that we are always told the same message. Never, ever give too much. You cannot be out here giving a man husband treatment and he's just the boyfriend. Burn the cape, black women, burn the cape. Stop sitting on the front lines. And here you are once again on the front lines. You're upset because you stood on the front lines for a battle you didn't even have to fight in. They have to do a recruitment. They didn't have to recruit you. You offered and volunteered your services, your emotional support, your face, your image, your influence to a campaign that didn't put any dollars into getting you as the front message, because they already had you as a vote. They didn't have to do much for you. And this is a reoccurring theme, black women, is that if we are going to have to, we're going to have to require more. But I'm no longer in the Democratic camp. I still to this day don't even understand, how did I vote against my own interests? I voted for my interests for a fact. Donald Trump, I was actually a supporter of RFK Jr. before I started to turn my attention to Trump when RFK suspended his campaign and he said, vote for Trump. That's when I had to start looking at Donald Trump's policies and paying attention to him more, because I was never a Donald Trump hater. I just never paid attention to him or politics like that. But as I'm starting to experience life, I can now compare how my life was as an 18-year-old all the way until, what was that? I can't even remember how old I was, but it was 2020, and I'm still an early 20-something-year-old at this point. I'm able to now compare a part of my life and how that went, and then now another chapter of my life, and now I can say, well, both of these people did have their time in office. Both of these people were responsible for certain things. Who am I going to say had the best outcomes that I approve with? People were like, I voted against my own interests. And I'm like, what are my interests? I'll wait.
Here are some of my alignments. I am anti-censorship. I do not like how the Democrats have had their hand in censoring people's speech and encouraging people to be kind of like on that behavior where they're telling you can't say this or else you're that. I don't like that behavior. I also want better regulation with our food and our drugs, because there's no way there should be any vaccines available to the public if they're not thoroughly tested before they're released, or food that has a bunch of preservative and artificial flavorings. I also want the protection of women's spaces in sports. Duh. And I'm pro-choice. I live in a blue state where J.B. Pritzker is not going to do anything with our reproductive rights whatsoever. He has said this, and there are a lot of people in the state who are not going to touch those rights. So I didn't even have to worry about that. And it didn't matter if it was Donald Trump or Kamala in office. They can't even do anything on the federal level because it went back to the states. The border crisis was another. I live in a sanctuary city of Chicago and was directly affected by not being able to receive emergency funds when I needed it because all the money had went to the migrants' housing.
What are my interests, since you know so much? Because these women will sit up here and be so condescending. Another reason why they lost is because they think they can talk down to people. They think they can bully people. There's a lot of mean girl behavior, like, you can't sit with me if you vote for. I'm like, who? Not even going to just produce that same type of energy, because these people need a hug. Literally, because I don't know what they're dealing with deep down, where they feel powerless and defenseless without someone they think is a part of their group to lead them. Black women, you have already shown yourself to be great. You don't have to prove much more. You think her being in office was proof of your respect, proof of your humanity, proof of your amazingness? Kamala Harris was never the example of you. I don't know why Black women entrusted that their image was immersed into her. I don't get that. She said in 2020 that she was against fracking, and then when she was questioned about it, I ain't say that I'm for fracking. What you mean? Someone who cannot take accountability that she was a part of the reason why the economy had failed. Even though inflation has been a worldwide thing, there was something that was happening within America that she was responsible for doing. She was the tie-breaking vote that led us into inflation. Kamala Harris was actually the tie-breaking vote in the Senate, which was key for why inflation has been skyrocketed in America. So we have the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act, and these were two major legislative drives exploding costs. So she was, in fact, a huge part of why this administration had been terrorizing the hell out of us. You got people out here talking about they're so educated, but they're also spewing misinformation, their favorite word, about her being a vice president and she can't do anything. She's a tie-breaking vote on a lot of these bills that were passed. That's power, baby. That is power. And even Joe Biden, both her and Joe Biden literally said the same thing. Like, yeah, she made a lot of key decisions. Anything that he could do, she could do as well. There was a point where she was acting president while he was in surgery. She was a president. She was already president. She was just the acting president, not officially president, but she was acting president already. Multiple times where she had to make key decisions and show up when Biden could not. And you all are saying she had no type of power. That is ridiculous type of work right there. I thought we have learned, but that 91% right there already tells me no. We as a collective have not learned anything, because our voting behaviors tell a very key story as to we're not over our own imprisonment, our own enslavement of the Democratic Party. And other communities have conservative values, and this is why there's no specific way in which they vote. Like you seen on that chart that everybody is not equal. There was a reflection, there was a scale. When it comes to Black people, this scale is weighed a little bit more in a certain direction. And I want Black women to have better, but I don't know if we're ready for better, because we still to this day believe that we have to sit on the front lines with our cape, with an S on our chest, trying to save democracy when it is not ours to save. You have to hire people and put them in positions to do the job for you. And if they cannot do the job for you, they don't deserve to be in office. I don't care how Donald Trump talk. If he talk a certain way, so what? There are a lot of people who are sitting in Congress and making decisions on your behalf. You don't even know what they look like. You don't know what their name is. He's willing to demean and disrespect these people, and I don't care. I do not care. That's what I hadn't voted for him. I didn't vote for him 2 times in a row. Extremely important that I contribute this time around, because there's no way I could deal with another Democrat in office doing the horrible things that they were doing, focusing on things that I did not care about. There were so many things that the Democratic Party aligns themselves with that I am not in agreement with. So yeah, I did vote for my interests. I don't know what your interests are. I say this all the time. Black people are conservative and they follow conservative values and principles, but they vote liberally. It is the most confusing thing that you will see. Is a confusing phenomenon. It's almost like Get Out. Like, you know, somebody's there. Like you want to get out. You're screaming. There's tears rolling down your eyes.
I'll do something.
You cannot expect change when you're doing the same type of behavior. You are as predictable as a Tyler Perry movie. Predictable. The Democrats think y'all are predictable. That's why they're not going to do anything for you. I've watched every single culture demand something. But Black people, only the small amount of Black people like myself, a part of that 7% of Black women who voted for Trump. And I'm going to also give a shout out to those who voted for third party as well. You cannot be giving this party another vote. Okay, y'all? I've said my piece. Now, tell me what you all think. Again, this is not a video to be, cursing me out or nothing. I am definitely open to critique. If you heard something that you agree with, let me know. If you heard something you disagree with, let me know. We can have conversation. I can do a follow-up video. It does not matter. But with all that being said, thank you.